So in our lives, probably we have come across IQ, EQ, SQ, CQ, MQ, PQ, and now recently AQ. In my childhood days, IQ was very prominent. I remember when I was in 10th standard, I think it was 1994. And in 1994, when I was in 10th standard, there was a group of people who came to our school and they wanted to check everyone's IQ. There was a test that they had. Later, when I went to college, I heard of something called as EQ, that how do you function internally? How do you see setbacks? How do you see failures? Social quotient was how do you gel in a group? Are you an individual achiever or are you a team achiever? CQ is how creative you are, very easy to understand. Moral quotient is how much do you play by your ethics. Play quotient, as per the most famous Panchakosh theory, it's not just about being a very intelligent person, it's also that how much active you are, how much playful you are. And now the most recent addition to this whole Q's is AQ or adversity quotient. Inevitably, problems are going to come in our life. Inevitably, pain is going to come in our life. But can we keep the suffering optional? So there is a saying, pain is compulsory, but we have to choose whether we suffer from the pain or not. So pain is compulsory and suffering is optional. Arjun is very famous for his bravery. And Arjun is such an amazing character. Probably for the next 10 years, we'll keep talking about Arjun in different ways. There are so many facets to his personality. How can he do so many things at the same time? So today we are going to focus on some of his aspects that could help us in dealing with the adversities in our life. So Arjun is very famous for his bravery, and so is his son. Abhimanyu had so much valor, had so much faith in protection by his family members, and he was just so eager to protect his family members that there is a situation when actually everyone decides to attack Arjun one day. And when Arjun is attacked, somehow Krishna takes Arjun's chariot far away from that place. And at that point of time, there is a chakra view that is put up. And in the womb of his own mother, Subhadra, one point of time, Krishna, when he was speaking to Arjun about how to enter a chakra view, Subhadra Devi, she was pregnant with Abhimanyu and she heard that, but then she was a female, she was not interested in this war field and all that. So she fell asleep. And then later she could not understand what was spoken. So through her, Abhimanyu had learned the art of entering a Chakravyu. And just because his uncle Bhim, if you read the Mahabharata, then sometimes, when we discuss this story, people say that Abhimanyu is a fool and how can he enter a Chakravyu on his own without knowing how to come out. But actually, all these people, they have never ever read the Mahabharata. And that's why they can speak such words about somebody who is a very brave person. Actually, if you read the Mahabharata, then you understand. Abhimanyu asked his uncle Bhim, and Bhim said, you don't worry, right now it is very, very important for us to go inside the Chakravyu. I am just behind you. So you don't worry, you lead, and very soon, just behind you, I will also come inside, and I know the art of breaking outside. You don't worry about it. When his uncle had told him, and to save his father, he entered the Chakravyu, somehow everything happened so fast that just behind Abhimanyu's chariot, they closed the Chakravyu. And somebody like Bhim, who's a mighty warrior, he could not enter the Chakravyu. And inside, Abhimanyu was all alone. And even when he was a 16-year-old boy, he gave such a tough fight to millions and millions of soldiers. And somebody like Jayadratha and Karna and Ashwathama and all these people who are very much glorified in modern times, especially Karna, actually all of them together could not do anything against Abhimanyu, and he was just fighting valiantly. At one point of time, when all 6 of them attacked, the only thing that Abhimanyu could do was Abhimanyu jumped into the sky and saved himself and landed down. And in this way, he just kept on fighting with whatever was possible. They just were simply amazed to see him fighting. Finally, he picked up a chariot wheel and he was trying to fight. But then it seems Shakuni stabbed him from behind. And that is how somebody like Abhimanyu fell down. So this was one of the most heart-wrenching news for Arjun. So when Abhimanyu was killed by 6 big-time warriors, and that too by treachery, did Arjun cry? Because Arjun is a hero and Arjun is so brave. And today, our definition of heroes is that heroes don't cry. Did Arjun cry? The reality from Mahabharata is, of course, he did. That day in the evening, Arjun just could not control himself. He just kept on crying and crying, and he was thinking, how come I could not protect my own son? And how come, he was newly married and he already had a child, Parikshit, in his wife's womb. And how can I allow my son to die? But even though Arjun was very much crying that day and Arjun was very much sad that day, and I would also like to make you remember that this whole incident is happening during Mahabharat war, and the Bhagavad Gita was spoken at the beginning of the Mahabharat war. It means when Arjun is crying for losing his son Abhimanyu, he has already heard the Bhagavad Gita. And sometimes people who read the Bhagavad Gita, they have an understanding that Bhagavad Gita makes us hard-hearted, or Bhagavad Gita spiritual knowledge can make us lose our emotions. It makes us insensitive. One time, one of our friends, he had gone to a friend's marriage and he was a devotee. He believed in the Gita. And to the bridegroom on the stage, when everyone else was giving gifts, this friend of mine, he gave a Bhagavad Gita to that friend. And this friend he just took his hands back and he was not ready to accept the Gita. And he said, I don't know what you're doing. Why are you giving me the Bhagavad Gita on my marriage day? I'm not some sannyasi, I'm not some sadhu. And my friend just kept quiet and he told him, just look at the picture, the front page. The person to whom the Bhagavad Gita was spoken originally, do you think he's a sannyasi? Do you think he's somebody who ran away from his duties in the world? Actually, if you look at Arjun, he's one of the greatest warriors, he's the greatest hero, and he's a householder. And in fact, before hearing the Gita, he wanted to run away from his duties. But Krishna, when he spoke the Gita, then Arjun speaks in 18.72, he says, Nashta moho smritirlabdha tat prasadat maya achyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha kirishya vachanam tava. Arjun says, actually, all my doubts have been dispelled by the Bhagavad Gita, and now I am going to carry out all my duties as instructed by Krishna. So this is how sometimes people have these wrong notions about Bhagavad Gita. So Arjun has heard the Bhagavad Gita from Lord Krishna himself. And even though he's heard the Gita and all the spiritual knowledge, it does not make him hard-hearted. When he loses his son, he's in terrible pain. Now the question is, here is the biggest warrior who has heard the Gita. He's very close to Krishna. And Krishna has told him how life is always very temporary. So after hearing about Abhimanyu's leaving this world and after feeling the pain, did Arjun stop fighting? Now, if you read the Mahabharata, then you can understand. Of course, he cried, but of course, he did not stop fighting. The day this event happened, he actually spent it crying, and his resolve to take revenge, to take justice became more stronger. And next day, Arjun was again fighting on the battlefield, but this time he was unstoppable. Now he had a strong reason to go ahead. So Arjun's service did not stop. Arjun's seva for Krishna did not stop, even though he has faced one of the biggest adversities which none of us would like to experience in our lifetimes. So this is how Arjun, through his own actions, exemplifies. He tells us what is life all about. Life is about facing adversities, sometimes at the financial level, sometimes at the social level, and sometimes also at family level. On the other hand, we also have, this is Guru Dronacharya. Anyone of you knows of a town called Gurgaon? Gurgaon. Gurgaon is a town which is just next to Delhi. So actually people who stay there, they say it is called Gurugram. Now the name has changed to Gurugram. It's not Gurgaon. So Gurugram is actually the village or the town from where Guru Dronacharya came. That's why it's called Gurugram, Gurgaon today. So this is Guru Dronacharya, and he also had his son Ashwathama, and they wanted to do something about Dronacharya. So what to do? So Krishna told Yudhishthir, you are known for speaking the truth, and I want you to do something. We will kill an elephant called Ashwathama, and you tell this news to Dronacharya. Ashwathama hataha. Ashwathama is dead. You don't have to tell him that his son is dead, but when you tell something to Dronacharya, Dronacharya is not going to ask about it. And in this way, because of his tremendous attachment to his son, when he hears that his son is dead, he's not going to fight. And that's exactly what happened. So when Yudhishthir said, Ashwathama Hataha, and then he said, Narova Kunjarova. So Narova means, I don't know whether he is human being, Ashwathama, or Kunjara. Kunjara means elephant. I don't know what elephant got killed or human being got killed, but I heard that Ashwathama got killed. And as soon as Dronacharya heard this news, he sat on the chariot at that moment. He gave up all his weapons, and Drishtadumna is the brother of Draupadi. He came and he slashed off the head of Dronacharya. So the point is, on one side, we have somebody like Arjun who also lost a son. And how did he lose his son? He lost his son in a very treacherous way. They murdered Abhimanyu. They did not kill Abhimanyu. It wasn't a Veera Gati. Actually, they murdered him. You know, in one sense, they insulted Abhimanyu by killing him like that. But they are just showing off their low character when they do that. But Arjun continued fighting. And Dronacharya, just by hearing the news, he did not even see the dead body of Ashwathama. He did not even wait for the news to get confirmed. Just by hearing that news, out of his intense affection, he could not handle the adversity in his life when he heard that his son was killed. So Dronacharya stopped fighting on the receiving news of his son's death. So I want to ask you a question. What could be the cause of difference in behavior of both these mighty warriors? The situation is almost the same. In fact, Dronacharya's situation is a little bit lighter, and Arjuna's situation is a much heavier situation. He saw the dead body of Abhimanyu full of blood. What could be the cause of difference? Can any one of you give me a suggestion?
Krishna was with Arjuna.
Krishna is with Arjun. Thank you. Yes, that's a good suggestion. Anybody else would like to speak?
Prediction,
Okay.
prediction of
Yeah.
Dronacharya
Prediction of Dronacharya.
and prediction of Arjuna.
Okay. Would you like to explain what does it mean? Prediction of Dronacharya?
Prediction that he had predicted that whether it is elephant or his son. He didn't.
Okay. So it's interesting that two people have undergone the same kind of situation in their lives, but one person continued and one person gave up. We have another story for you. This is Ravan kidnapping Sita Devi. And Jatayu is a low bird, is a vulture. And Jatayu had fatherly feelings for Ram because he was at one point of time saved by Dashrath Maharaj. So for Jatayu, Sita was his daughter-in-law, Sunbai. He used to see Sita Devi as Sunbai. So when Ravan kidnaps Sita Devi is in a plane high above, and she sees old Jatayu, father-in-law Jatayu, is sitting on a tree. And Sita Devi understands he could be of some help. And Sita Devi says, Jatayu, please, I am giving you a responsibility. This person has forcibly kidnapped me, and Ram will soon come here. He was sent away. So when Ram comes here and checks for me, he won't find me. You please give him this news. I request you to not fight with Ravan. Ravan is a very strong warrior. I can experience his strength. So you please don't fight with him, but do one thing, give this news to Ram that what happened here. This is what I expect from you. And she's just keeping quiet and accepting her destiny. Meanwhile, Jatayu, down there, he just cannot sit there and watch his daughter-in-law getting kidnapped. And he looks at his own body. He knows he's not having much strength. Ravan is a big warrior, able to fight even with Indra, and he's a Mayavi kind of a person. So actually, it is a lose-win situation. Jatayu is going to lose and Ravan is going to win. There is no discussion on that. But just look at the heart of Jatayu. Jatayu does not keep quiet. And Jatayu, with whatever strength he has, he attacks Ravan. What is his logic? His logic is, I may not be able to stop Ravan from doing this, but what I can do is I can at least delay his journey. I can cause him pain. I can take some blood from his body. I can tear off some pieces of flesh from his body. And in this whole fighting business, even if 10-15 minutes go, what if in that time Ram comes here and then Ram can continue the fight and Sita Devi's ill fortune can be prevented. I can prevent Sita Devi from being kidnapped. With these noble thoughts, old vulture Jatayu attacks Ravan. And we all know how, with his own skills, he teared off a lot of flesh from Ravan's body. But finally, Ravan is Ravan, and he cut off the wings of Jatayu and he made him fall down. So then, when Lord Ramchandra comes, one interesting thing that happens is Ramchandra thinks, because there's so much blood there, if you read the Valmiki Ramayana, Ramchandra feels maybe this is some Rakshas who just now had Sita Devi as food. And all that blood that is there lying around is Sita Devi's blood. At one point of time, because Ramchandra is really, really very anxious because he's not able to find Sita, he takes an arrow and fixes upon his bow and is about to kill Jatayu. Now, I was thinking when I read this scene, I was thinking from Jatayu's perspective. So here he has risked his life to take care of Sita Devi, even though he has been ordered by Sita Devi not to do anything. And on top of it, the person for whom he is doing everything, Ram, when he comes there, he misunderstands him to be some Rakshas and is about to kill him. But when he hears attentively, he hears the name Ram, Ram. Jatayu is chanting Ram's name. And Ramchandra immediately understands this cannot be a Rakshas who's chanting my name. And then Ram comes close to him. And Jatayu, in the lap of Lord Ramchandra, he achieves Vaikuntha, because Ramchandra is just so happy with his service attitude. So Jatayu is somebody who was a failure externally in the extremely adverse situation. He failed. He was killed and he fell down and he could not prevent the kidnapping of his daughter-in-law Sita Devi. But from Ram's perspective, he did his best. And Lord Ramchandra was just so happy with his service attitude. Jatayu, in his own heart, he's thinking, Sita Devi is telling me don't do anything. But if I just keep quiet and I'm healthy and I keep myself safe, and Lord Ramchandra comes and Lord Ramchandra asks me, where is Sita? And I say, Sita Devi gave me a seva. Sita Devi told me not to fight. And that's why I obeyed her completely. And I want to just give you the news that Ravan came and Ravan took her in this direction. What if Ram asks me, so Jatayu, you didn't try to save her? You didn't do anything. What will I reply? Just to avoid this small possibility that Ram will ask him, didn't you try to save my wife from being kidnapped? Jatayu actually, in one sense, disobeyed Mother Sita. We are always taught to never ever disobey Ram. We are taught not to disobey Krishna. So we are told that we should never disobey Sita, we should never disobey Rukmini, Rakhumai, we should not disobey Ram, we should not disobey Krishna. But interestingly, Jatayu totally disobeyed Sita Devi. But even though he disobeyed, he got the affection of Lord Ramchandra and Lakshmanji. And if you know the Valmiki Ramayana, Lord Ramchandra himself performed the Antim Samskar of Jatayu and sent him to Vaikuntha. So it's very interesting how even if somebody externally disobeys Sita, in one sense externally disobeying the person who is closest to Lord Ramchandra, but because his heart was clean and because he was ready to face adversity, Ravan is death for Jatayu and he is facing death. He is going and rushing towards death. How many of us will be able to do that? But that's what Jatayu did. And even though he did that, he is counted as one of the greatest successes in trying to serve Lord Ramchandra and trying to please Lord Ramchandra. So lesson number one for us is, when you do something for yourself, you decide your own limits. Where should I stop? But when you do something for someone you love, then your limits are set by the amount of your love. So in today's times, all of us are taught to do something for yourself. अरे थोड़ा स्वार्थी बनना चाहिए, खुद के लिए कुछ करना चाहिए. I have seen in my life, whenever people have tried to do something for pleasing themselves, they just went a little ahead in life, and after that they thought maybe it's getting too much and they stopped. But I have seen people who wanted to please somebody whom they loved, somebody whom they had affection for, and they just crossed all their limits for them. One very powerful example that comes to my mind is the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He had been advised by his guru that the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is locked up in Sanskrit language and in the land called India, but the whole world is dying because they don't have this wonderful knowledge. So whenever you get money, because you are an educated English speaking man, Prabhupada in those days was very well educated. He said, if you ever get money, you should print books in English language based on the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And almost for 43 years after he received that instruction, in every small way possible, he would try to write books in English language. And at one point of time, when he got a chance to go to the America, to the US, he actually went to the US not to learn something from America. Many Indians go to America, but they learn something from America when they come back to India. Prabhupada said, I went to US not to learn from the Americans. I went there to teach them the knowledge of the Gita. And here I am present in front of you just because of the hard work, the efforts of Srila Prabhupada. So just because he had a small desire to please his Guru Maharaj, he just crossed all limits. At the age of 69, with 40 Indian rupees in his pocket, this old personality reaches the shores of America with no contacts, no money, and falling health. But even with whatever limited physical facilities that he had, he went on and he wanted to please his Guru, and he got success. And today we have so many temples where we are distributing the knowledge of Gita to anyone and everyone we meet. So this is one of the most strongest example that when you do something for someone you love, your limits are limitless. You can cross all limits. So if you really want to face adversities in your life, always remember, think of somebody in your life whom you want to please. Think of somebody in your life whom you really want to show your affection for, and you can cross all your limits. I can tell you many more stories, but I have a very recent story for you. So this is Gurtej Singh. Gurtej Singh left this world around 1 week back. His age was only 23, and he was part of Punjab's Ghatak platoon, which was working in close coordination with the Bihar regiment in Ladakh. So if you all know, there is an agreement between India and China that both of them will not use firearms. It means guns and bombs and all these weapons cannot be used. So one day, for no good reason, the Chinese people, they suddenly attacked the Indian army with clubs which had nails, khide hote tachavar, and a lot of very unspeakable things they did. Suddenly they attacked, and the Indian army just understood these people are not going to play by the rules. And this 23-year-old boy, he just lifted 4 Chinese soldiers, and there was a cliff nearby. He just threw them. But as he was throwing them, he also slipped and he fell down the cliff. And when he was falling down the cliff, there was a big stone there where he hit the stone on his leg. And then he's in mid-air on that stone. Then he removed his turban cloth. He tied his leg properly. He put around some kind of a simple bandage. He again climbed back with a broken leg. And he had a kirpan. Kirpan means all these sick people, they carry a small knife with them. And with that kirpan, he killed 8 more people. And after killing 12 Chinese soldiers in this way, finally he was killed when one Chinese man backstabbed him. त्याच्या पाठीमध्ये चाकू जेव्हा मारला तेव्हा हा मुलगा खाली पसला. So this person, without any gun, with a knife kirpan, he has killed 8 and then he is thrown 4. And all this happened not in a war situation. So when a war is declared, then you are ready for the enemy. This is just simple, people are standing in front of each other and suddenly they attack. And it's very interesting. This whole thing happened when the leader of that platoon, his name was Colonel Santosh Babu. He's from Andhra Pradesh. He was killed by the Chinese soldiers. And when the Indian people saw that these people killed our leader, our Indian people, in the face of adversity with no guns and with no preparation, They don't have any knife. They don't have anything else. With their raw arms, they broke the necks of 45 Chinese people. Now, one very interesting thing is we released our statistics immediately that 3 people on our side were killed and 20 people on our side were injured. Do you know what is the statistic of China? China never ever revealed any statistic. Till now, there is no statistic revealed by China. You know why? Because they are afraid to release statistics, because Chinese people, if they understand that 45 of their people were killed and Indians only 3 people were killed, when in fact it was a surprise attack from their side and we didn't have anything with us. But when they did that mistake of killing our leader, then all these army people, they said, अभी बहुत हो गया, एडवर्सिटी होने दो या कुछ होने दो, हमको हमारे लीडर के प्रति रिस्पेक्ट था. We respected our leader, and once you attack our leader, then we'll show who you are. And in that whole thing, actually they broke the necks of so many people and they broke the backs of so many people. So if you read the Ramayana, one very interesting thing is every day in the war, when the Ravan soldiers would die, Ravan at night time would tell his other soldiers, you take those bodies and throw it into the sea. अगले दिन किसी को समझ में नहीं आना चाहिए कितने लोग मरे हैं, कोणालाही लक्षात येता कामा नये की किती लोक आपले मेले. So every Rakshas's body was thrown into the sea. Meanwhile, Lord Ramchandra's Vanaras would also die in the war. It's not that all of them survived. Lord Ramchandra would take those bodies and keep them at some safe place. And Valmiki Rishi mentions that at the end of the Ramayana war, Lord Ramchandra was so much touched by the sacrifice of all his soldiers. By his glance, he revived all his soldiers. So this is that attitude of a leader, that when people die for him, he's grateful for his people. And Ravan has an old tradition that when somebody dies for you, throw him into the sea. So similarly, the Chinese people, they have never ever accepted that they have some fatalities on their side. But I'll tell you something. In that whole running, when the Indian soldiers got very angry that the leader was killed, they ran behind the Chinese people and they crossed their border. And 3 of our Indian soldiers were captured by the Chinese people and they were released after 2 or 3 days. So these soldiers revealed when they came back to the Indian army that all the Chinese people are completely aghast. त्याला हिंदी मध्ये म्हणतात ना, खौफ है उनके चेहरे पे, खौफ, completely frightened. We attacked them with these clubs and nails and stones and everything, and they did not have any weapons and they killed us in a matter of seconds. They're totally afraid of the Indian side. So I was thinking, this 23-year-old boy with no gun in his hand, he has killed 12 people. You know why? Because he felt, how can you attack our leader? ज्यांच्या प्रती आम्हाला प्रेम आहे त्यांना तुम्ही काही हात लावायचा नाही, जे काही करायचं ते आम्हाला करा. जेव्हा हा नियम चायनीज लोकांनी तोडला तेव्हा त्यांचे 45 मरण पावले आणि आपले केवळ 3 मरण पावले. This is there in the blood of Indians. Yes. So when you love somebody, when you respect somebody, and when that person is hurt, you can cross all your limits. So there is a beautiful prayer. I asked God. So this person is saying, I asked God for strength, and God gave me difficulties to make me strong. I asked God for wisdom, and God gave me problems to solve. I asked God for prosperity, and God gave me brawn. Brawn means physical strength, and brain to work. I asked God for courage, and God gave me dangers to overcome. I asked for patience, and God placed me in situations where I was forced to wait. I asked God for love, and God gave me troubled people to help. I asked God for favors, and God gave me opportunities. I asked God for so many things, but I got something else. I received nothing I wanted, but I received everything I needed. Actually, my prayer has been answered. So when we face difficulties in our life, it does not mean God is angry with us. It does not mean nobody loves us. It only means God wants you to rise higher. God wants you to remember those whom you love. It could be your teacher, it could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be some dear person in your family. But if you keep remembering how that person will be happy if you cross over that adversity, you can be like Arjun, who is willing to continue serving Krishna even though he lost his own son. So when I believe in God, behind me is infinite power. God is with me, infinite power. In front of me is endless possibility. And around me is boundless opportunity. Because God is infinite, everything in connection with him is infinite. So the highest person whom you can try to please in your life is when you're working for Krishna. And that's why Arjun is such an amazing person. He's always trying to please Krishna. Hanuman is such an amazing person. Hanuman is always trying to please Krishna. So lesson number 2 for all of us. We may encounter many defeats in our life, but we choose not to be defeated anytime. This is a very important thing. We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. कष्ट भरपूर आपल्या जीवनात येऊ शकतात, पण आपण हरू नाही शकत कधी, कारण आपल्याला आपल्या प्रिय व्यक्तीसाठी भरपूर काही करायचे आहे. ओके, नाउ आय एम गोइंग टू आस्क यू क्वेश्चन. व्हेन समवन लेंड्स अस मनी, वी पे बॅक मनी. कोणीतरी आपल्याला उसने दिले काही पैसे, तर आपण त्याला परतफेड करू. कोणी आपल्याला ऐनवेळी जर मदत केली, तर आपण पण त्याला त्याच्या गरजेच्या वेळी मदत करू. When someone gives us some gold, we pay back in gold. When somebody gives us a job, probably we needed some opportunity at some point of time, then when we'll also help that person in his time of need. So this whole thing is called pay back. परतफेड म्हणतात त्याला मराठीमध्ये. परतफेड करायला पाहिजे. So now, in some days, if Guru Purnima is going to come, and Guru Purnima is the day when we remember somebody who gave us spiritual knowledge. Now the question is, if you took gold from somebody and you paid back in gold, so when somebody gives us knowledge, how do we repay? Would anyone like to speak? पैसे जेव्हा आपण दुसऱ्यांकडून घेतो उसने, तेव्हा आपण पैसे देतो. पुस्तकं घेतली तर पुस्तकं देतो. इतर काही मदत घेतली तर त्यांना मदत देतो. आणि जर आपल्याला कोणी ज्ञान दिलं असेल तर आपण त्या ज्ञानाची परतफेड कशी करणार? एनीबडी वुड लाईक टू स्पीक? Think about it.
One way is we can distribute this knowledge transparently to the next legacy. And second option is you have to otherwise you should 100% respect that person from whom you have received the knowledge. Respect and honor.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for your nice reply. So, can we pay it back? सगळं आतापर्यंत परतफेड केली आहे, तर आपण याला पण परतफेड करू शकतो का ज्ञानाला? ज्या व्यक्तीने आपल्याला ज्ञान दिलं त्यांना थोडं बसून, येस, सो डॉक्टर कीर्ती पिसाळ इज मेन्शनिंग, त्या ज्ञानाला आपण योग्य वापर करू शकतो. येस, सो ऑब्वियसली वन थिंग इज व्हेरी शुअर, व्हेन समबडी गिव्स अस नॉलेज, वी कॅनॉट पे इट बॅक. ज्यांनी आपल्याला ज्ञान दिलं त्याला बसून सांगू नाही शकत, मला पण त्या ज्ञानाची परतफेड करायची, मी तुला थोडंसं ज्ञान देतो. दॅट वी कॅन डू. So we will be the greatest fools if we try to educate those who have educated us. ज्यांनी आपल्याला ज्ञान दिलं त्यांना जेव्हा ज्ञान द्यायचा आपण प्रयत्न करतो, तर भागवतामध्ये एक श्लोक आहे, त्याच्यामध्ये लिहिलंय विनोद पात्रम. जेव्हा एक शिष्य आपल्या गुरूंना काहीतरी शिकवायला जातो तेव्हा तो विनोदाचा पात्र होतो, त्याच्यावर सर्वजण हसतात, हास्यास्पद क्रिया होते त्याच्याकडून. सो ॲज डॉक्टर महेश काटे मेन्शन, the solution is not to pay it back, the solution is to pay it forward. It means to have gratitude for what we have received and become the instruments of that gratitude and pass it on to others. नदी वाहत वाहत पाणी आपल्यापर्यंत घेऊन आली आहे आणि आपण त्याला धरण नाही बांधू शकत. आपण त्या नदीला पुढे वाहू दिलं पाहिजे, जेणेकरून जशी आपल्याला त्या पाण्याचा फायदा झालाय तशाच प्रकारे पुढे पण अनेकांना त्या पाण्याचा फायदा होऊ दे. आपण एक काम करू शकतो, त्या पाण्याला दूषित होण्यापासून वाचवू शकतो. वी शुड नॉट कंटॅमिनेट दॅट रिव्हर अँड वी शुड अलाउ द रिव्हर टू गो इट अहेड. सो व्हॉट इज पे इट बॅक or pay it forward? Pay it forward means somebody loved me and one person, because he loved me, now I should become a person who loves 3 more people. And in this way, when I teach them the concept of pay it forward, it can start a legacy of giving. म्हणून बघा, श्रीकृष्णाने अर्जुनाला एका व्यक्तीला गीता सांगितली आणि ती गीता व्यास ऋषींनी लिहिली आणि ती गीता आपल्या समोर मांडली. एका व्यक्तीने त्याचा सखोल अभ्यास केला, त्या व्यक्तीने ते ज्ञान वाटलं. आज गीता कुठेपर्यंत पोहोचलीये. सो इट गिव्स मी ग्रेट प्लेजर टू टेल यू, only the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has distributed more than 55 crore Bhagavad Gitas all over the world, across the globe, in all the countries. So it's a question of pay it forward. we cannot pay it back, but we can pay it forward. It means the concept of gratitude is very important for us. ज्याच्या हृदयामध्ये कृतज्ञता नाही आहे जे काही मिळालं त्यासाठी, त्या व्यक्तीपेक्षा खालच्या स्तरावर कोणी जाऊ शकत नाही. द मोस्ट lowest feeling that somebody can have in their hearts is ingratitude, to be not grateful for what has happened in our lives. My Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he often says, if we are not grateful, then we are great fools. So I'm just requesting all of you, can you think of something to be grateful for in your own life? Anybody would like to speak one or two things that they think they should be just grateful? It could be your teacher, it could be your parents, it could be your brother, sister, whatever. It could be God in your life. Can you mention one or two things for which you are grateful? Okay, grateful for all the love that has been received. Okay, we'll go ahead. At least I am grateful for getting this opportunity to share the knowledge of the Gita with all of you. Okay, just a minute. I'm giving an opportunity for you to unmute. Yes, you have the opportunity to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, able to hear you.
Yes, yes. Grateful for everything means even every situation, whatever is there in life. So we should be grateful for every situation, every person, whether the impact is negative or positive.
Yeah.
I think so.
So, yes, thank you. Not just for all the happy moments in life, but also for the difficulties in our life, because those difficulties made us learn lessons in life, because the difficulties taught us something that we had neglected. And Dr. Ganesh Panhade is mentioning that towards God for life and all surroundings, for giving us a good birth in a good country, in good culture, in a good family, given us good health. So there are so many things to be grateful about. Yes, somebody else wants to speak?
I am grateful that I got an opportunity to listen to you through Zoom
Okay.
in this lockdown.
Okay, okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we'll go ahead. This is a small movie, this is a small clip actually, it's not a movie, about one person. Just see how his life is. He does not have any strength in his hands, but with his two legs, he does beautiful carving. And he's done some paintings too. He's counting money with his legs. So I can send this clip on the group, but one interesting thing is this person has no complaints against anybody. He's abandoned by his own parents, but whatever God has given him, he's using that, and he takes part in Paralympics also in the field of archery. So how does he shoot an arrow? He shoots an arrow with his two legs because he cannot use his hands in any way. So there is a common saying that if you wish to be happy for an hour, then take a nap. This is a Chinese saying. For a day, go for a picnic. For a month, get married. For a year, inherit a fortune. And if you want to be happy for a lifetime, then serve somebody else. So, based on whatever we have received from our superiors, from God, from our parents, when we are really grateful for whatever we have received, then we want to pass it on to others. Then we decide to serve, seva. So, it's very interesting that in today's times, when we are taught to do things for yourself and not to do it for others out of gratitude, then people are leading such superficial lives. In the last 1 week, I have heard of 5 or 6 different people who at a young age have killed themselves. None of these people were suffering from a terminal disease like cancer or AIDS, and they don't have any option, but they have to kill themselves. Nothing like that. So there is a girl who's 16-year-old, she's killed herself. There's an actor who's 34 years old, he's killed himself. There is a celebrity manager girl who was a manager for some film star, she killed herself. I know of a student who was in 12th standard, he left this world. And I know of an IAS officer in Bangalore. There is an IAS officer, he killed himself. So I'm just thinking, on one side there are all these successful people, very competitive in their profession, they're very expert in their profession, but they could not have a reason to stay alive, and they could not have a reason to face all the adversities and all the tough situations in their life. Meanwhile, simple people who have faith in God, they feel, I'm grateful to God for at least giving me strength in my 2 legs. God did not give me strength in my 2 hands, पण 2 पायांमध्ये तरी शक्ती दिली की नाही. मला काही कला दिल्या ना ज्याच्यामुळे मी काहीतरी आपलं करू शकतो. So I can be so grateful to God. So in today's times in the West, they're advising people to write something called as a gratitude journal. Gratitude journal is a proper book where at the end of the day you write down something for which you're grateful for. Any good thing that is happening in your life, जे पण काही तुमच्या जीवनामध्ये योग्य चालू आहे, चांगलं चालू आहे, ते लिहून काढा. And people are saying, just by maintaining one gratitude journal, you can overcome all the adversities of your life, because you can see whenever there was an adversity or whenever there was a difficulty in your past life, if you have the proper attitude, it only makes you stronger. It does not make you resign. It actually makes you stronger. So this is something which is advised. And I have so many stories about gratitude, but I would like to speak to you about the stories of 2 great personalities whom I have seen. One is the mother of one sannyasi, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. And whenever, as a small boy, he would come from his friend's home, then the mother would ask him, did you thank that family for the dinner that you had at their home? And that small boy, his name was Richard, he would think, I don't know what is so important about saying thank you, but his mother would always mention that. And that became a samskar on this little boy. And today he is one of the greatest spiritual leaders. Also, one of his friends, his name was John Favors in his childhood. And they used to live in a slum area, very poor. So John mentions how in his childhood days, he just had 2 pair of clothes. 2 shirt and 2 half pant. He hote, त्यांच्याकडे kapde. And one time, for some function or something, one of his friends came to his home, and his mother saw, they're poor, they don't have money. His father had left the family. So the mother saw that the other friend had torn clothes, kapde फाटलेले hote. So mother immediately went to the cupboard, and out of the 2 sets, 1 set was on John's body and 1 set of cloth was inside the cupboard. His mother took that 1 set of clothes and gave it away to this boy who had come to just meet him. And John asked his mother, that was my only set of clothes, how could you give it? He said, no, God has given us at least 1 set of clothes more than what he has. So it is our duty to thank him. And these kind of impressions in the childhood days had such strong impact on these 2 great spiritual personalities that they said, one time he went to some birthday party, and when they returned, that family gave him a pencil as a return gift. And when John's mother saw that pencil, she asked him, did you thank that lady for giving you a pencil? And he said, no, I didn't thank. So John's mother sent him back. And John remembers that I had to walk again all the way and go to that family and say, thank you for giving me this pencil. And that family thought, this is something totally unnecessary. But his mother would say, you should always be grateful for whatever you have received. And that's why both these personalities today, when they're preaching the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, they speak so much on gratitude. So all of us also in our lives, we might not have received something that the neighbor has. If we compare with one of our neighbors, then it is possible that they have something that we don't have. But if you look at the rest of the city, rest of Baramatikars, all of us have so much more than what a typical Baramatikar has. A typical Baramatikar in Baramati today, I've seen many people's homes, simple homes. So all of you, I know all of you are doctors, medicos, and all of your homes are, properly furnished, and there are a lot of things going on, good health, sufficient money, and capacity to help others and all that. And in this COVID times, I know so many people who have lost all their money. Simple people, because people's homes were closed and social distancing was going on. Simple carpenters and milk supplying people and all, they're completely bankrupt. Their whole bank account is gone. But I know so many people, just because God is kind on them, they survived through Corona. Okay, they might not have prospered in Corona time, but at least they have survived, and we should sometimes be grateful for surviving, if not for flourishing. So sometimes trees, they give out flowers, and there is nobody to collect those flowers. And what happens to those flowers? Those flowers fall on the ground. But does that stop the tree from giving flowers? अरे मी फुलं दिले आणि कोणी गोळा करायला पण नाही, आणि बघा माझे सुंदर सुंदर सुवासिक फुलं आहेत, सुगंधी फुलं आहेत, ते जमिनीवर पडले आहेत. नो, नेक्स्ट टाइम the tree again gives rise to beautiful fragrant flowers. So the tree does not count when I am giving flowers, is there somebody to catch hold of those flowers or not? Similarly, my dear friends, life is not about what we lost so far. It is always about what we can still grow. आतापर्यंत जे झालं गेलं ते आपण नक्कीच त्या झाडासारखं विसरू शकतो, आणि आपल्याला जे काही परमेश्वराने दिलंय, आपल्या आई वडिलांनी दिलंय, आपल्या मित्रमंडळींनी दिलंय, भगवंतांनी दिलंय, त्याला लक्षात ठेवून आपण नवीन फुलांना पुन्हा एकदा आणू आपल्या शकतो. सो आय एम गोइंग टू आस्क यू क्वेश्चन, विच इज द मोस्ट फर्टाईल लँड? इज इट रेड सॉइल? काही लोकांचं असं म्हणणं आहे की लाल माती खूप सुपीक असते, काही लोकांचं म्हणणं आहे की काळी माती खूप सुपीक असते. सो व्हॉट इज द आन्सर टू दिस क्वेश्चन? What is the most fertile soil in this world? Is it red soil? It is black soil? Is it something else? Anybody wants to speak? Any ideas?
Black soil.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else has any other? Okay, I accept it.
It's not on the soil, but it's who cultivates it.
Okay, thank you. That's another perspective. I'm really happy when all of you share your perspectives, because in these discussions, it's not that somebody is right or somebody is wrong, but basically it starts you thinking. थोडं आपली विचार क्षमता वाढते की काय असू शकतं, याचं उत्तर काय असू शकतं. So it is said, actually the most fertile soil in this world is not red soil, and the most fertile soil in this world is not black soil. Actually, the most fertile soil in this world is our heart. कारण काळ्या मातीत पण काही काही असे धान्य आहेत जे तुम्ही पेरले तर ते काळ्या मातीत येणार नाहीत, आणि लाल मातीत पण काही काही असे धान्य आहेत जे आपण लाल मातीत पेरले तर ते लाल मातीत पण येणार नाही. आणि आपलं हृदय अशी सुंदर सुपीक जमीन आहे, यामध्ये तुम्ही द्वेष पेरला, द्वेष येतो. या मातीत मध्ये, आपल्या हृदयाच्या मातीमध्ये जर आपण प्रेम पेरलं तर प्रेम येईल. आपल्या हृदयाच्या मातीमध्ये आपण इतरांप्रती द्वेष पेरला, मात्सर्य पेरलं, त्यांच्याबद्दल चुकीच्या भावना पेरल्या तर त्या येतील. आणि त्याच हृदयाच्या सुपीक जमिनीमध्ये जर आपण कृपा पेरली तर कृपा येईल, कृतज्ञता पेरली तर कृतज्ञता येईल. सो आय हॅव दिस व्हेरी व्हेरी ब्युटिफुल पिक्चर ऑन द स्क्रीन विच शोज हाऊ अ स्मॉल चाइल्ड, now this feeling of gratitude that is there on the child's face, he has his hands like this and he's praying. Is this something that is born natural in this child, or is this something that has to be taught to the child? Now if you look at the picture you can understand, या लहानशा मुलाला, या लहानशा बाळाला कुठे काय कळतंय, पण त्याच्या आईने त्याला शिकवलंय आपल्याला जे काही खायला मिळतंय ना ते कदाचित मोठ्या मोठ्या लोकांसारखं नसेल, पण आपल्याला पोट भरायला मिळतंय म्हणून नेहमी तू कृतज्ञ राहा. So gratitude is one of the most fundamental good qualities that needs to be taught in the world today, because there is one saying which I had heard in my childhood. It said, I would complain to God that I did not have shoes. अनवाणी होते माझे पाय, माझ्याकडे चपला नव्हते, माझ्याकडे shoes नव्हते. I complained to God every day that did not have shoes till the day I met somebody who did not have legs. अरे कोणाकोणाकडे पाय नाहीये, आपल्याकडे चपला नाहीयेत म्हणून आपण रडतोय. So if we decide to always cry, we can keep crying for the rest of our lives. And if we decide to be grateful, then right now, today, we can be grateful to God for giving us so many things that are missing in the lives of so many ordinary people. We, all of us, we are very, very fortunate to have received so much in our lives. So gratitude as a emotion, as a virtue, definitely needs to be taught in this world today. Especially the more successful we become, it is more easier to forget gratitude, and it is more easier to become self-absorbed. But the more successful we become, we need to cultivate this feeling of gratitude in our hearts. So lesson number 3 is, you don't need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people be inspired by how you deal with your imperfections. आपल्याला वाटतं जेव्हा माझं जीवन पूर्णपणे निष्कलंक, झिरो प्रॉब्लेम्स जेव्हा होईल, तेव्हा मी दुसऱ्यांना प्रेरणा देईन. नो, ऍक्च्युली आपल्या जीवनामध्ये जे काही अडचणी आहेत, जे काही प्रॉब्लेम आहेत, त्याला आपण सामोरे कसं जातो, त्याला आपण कसं झेलतो, त्याच्यानी लोकांना जास्ती प्रेरणा मिळते. कारण अनेक लोक बघत असतात आपल्या जीवनामध्ये जी झुंज चालू आहे, जो लढा चालू आहे, ते बघत असतात. ते म्हणतात, आम्ही तुम्हाला जवळून बघितलंय, तुमच्या जीवनामध्ये किती वादळ आले, तुमच्या जीवनामध्ये किती कष्ट आलेत, पण तुम्ही न रडता नेहमी तुम्हाला जे मिळालं त्याच्याप्रती कृतज्ञ होते. आणि त्या कृतज्ञतेच्या आधारावर तुम्ही तुमच्या जीवनातल्या कष्टांना फार छानपणे झेललंय. So we saw today 2 important things. One is that if you have somebody to whom you love, to whom you have respect, then you can undergo all the adversities in your life just to please that person. And you can cross all your limits that are self-imposed in order to please that person. And the next lesson that we saw is, we did not be successful in our lives to impress others or to teach something to others. Actually, if we are, our success lies not in winning the battle, our success lies in never ever giving up and continuously fighting the difficulties in our life. So when we see it from this perspective, when we focus on the positive that is happening in our lives, then we get sufficient strength to fight with the negativities in our life. And just by continuously fighting with the negativities in our life, based on the positivity that we have received so far, people can get inspired from us. And these are the 2 very, very strong internal ways in which we can fight with our adversities in life. So I'm really grateful to all of you. We have reached 8:29, 1 minute short of 8:30. Thank you so much for being a part of our Sunday evening program. And if somebody has any questions, then we can take 1 or 2 questions. So before we take any questions, Dr. Kate, do you want to make any announcements?
Yeah. Firstly, major important announcement today I want to share with you all that with the current situation of Baramati and the number of patients to the OPD and all the work, we are resuming to almost a normal work after lockdown. So we are proposing to you all that we are shifting this program when it is nowadays, it's once in a week on Sunday. So we are proposing that we'll be shifting it to once in a 15 days, and 2 options for you all. That one is in Friday, that is working day after OPD, that is 9 to 9:45 p.m. And second option is Sunday, as it is 7:30 to 8:15. So you can choose one of the option and let us know as early as possible. We are opening this True Wisdom group for you all to share the your views and opinion, so that we can find a good option for you all. And thank you once again for participating and with accompanying with us with all these topics that from lockdown to adversity questions. Shared by His Grace Nanda Dulal Prabhu, and I, on behalf of you all, and from ISKCON Baramati, I thank Nanda Dulal Prabhu, His Grace Nanda Dulal Prabhu. Of course, there will be a question answer session. If anybody want to ask a question to His Grace Nandadulal Prabhuji, it's most welcome. And I stop here.
Thank you. Anybody would like to ask a question? Yeah.
Ha sir. Hello sir. My question is.
Hello.
Hello sir. Am
Hello,
I
hello.
audible?
Yes,
Am I
yes,
audible?
yes. Yes.
Sir, you had told that story of Dronacharya and Arjuna. Whose
Yes.
thinking was right at that time?
Yeah. If somebody has a higher goal to achieve in life, then that higher goal in life has to be attained by a lot of sacrifice. जेवढं
Yes.
उंच आपल्याला ध्येय गाठायचं असेल तेवढे आपल्याला त्याग करणं गरजेचं आहे. ज्याला लहान सहान गोष्टींमध्ये आनंद मिळतो तो जीवनामध्ये कधी मोठं काही गाठू शकत नाही. सो आपल्या सैन्यामध्ये जर कोणाला भरती व्हायचं असेल, definitely he has to in one sense sacrifice his affection for his mother and father so that he can take care of millions of mothers and millions of fathers. सीमित दृष्टीने जर बघितलं तर सैन्यामध्ये जो भरती होतो तो व्यक्ती आपल्या आई वडिलांना कुठेतरी असं म्हणू शकतो उथळ स्तरावर आपण की तो दुर्लक्ष करतोय, नाही तर कशाला चाललाय सीमेवर. इथे आई वडील तर गावात राहतात, पण तो म्हणतोय गावी राहून मी केवळ एका आई वडिलांची सेवा करीन, पण सीमेवर राहून मी भारतातल्या सर्व आईंची आणि सर्व वडिलांची सेवा करीन. So I'm just giving this an example that when you want to lead your life on a high goal, then sometimes there is sacrifice involved. So Arjun, I'm seeing it that if he will stop fighting the war just because his son has died, then who will take care of Krishna's mission? Krishna has a mission that he wants to establish dharma on this planet. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. And is using Arjuna like an instrument. जसं तुमच्यातले कोणी सर्जन असतील आणि सर्जन स्कॅल्पेल घेऊन जेव्हा सर्जरी करतात, सो Krishna can be compared to the surgeon and Arjun can be compared to the scalpel. So if one scalpel does not work, it's not that the surgery stops. Krishna can take another scalpel, that the surgeon will take another scalpel. But the scalpel feels, no, I want to be used by this surgeon for this very important surgery. या सर्जरीमध्ये मी जर काम केलं तर लोक म्हणतील की या स्कॅल्पेलनी ही सर्वात मोठी सगळ्यात कठीण सर्जरी मध्ये मला डॉक्टरांना मदत केली, सर्जनला मदत केली. सो अर्जुन इज सेइंग, येस आय लॉस्ट माय सन, but still the service cannot stop. And I mentioned that he did not act like a stone. It's not that he did not feel any pain in his heart. Definitely I mentioned that evening Arjun just spent crying and crying and crying and he felt really bad. But then I also mentioned that because he underwent that adversity and he had a higher goal to achieve in his life, he became more unstoppable the next day. दुसऱ्या दिवशी ते त्यांना थांबवू शकलं नाही कोणी. का बरं? कारण त्यांना माहिती होतं ज्या लोकांनी हे वाईट कृत्य केलं त्यांना आपल्याला योग्य शिक्षा द्यावी लागणार. पण द्रोणाचार्य हे स्वतःच्या मुलाच्या प्रेमामध्ये सत्य परिस्थितीची परीक्षा न करता त्यांनी त्यांचं कर्तव्य सोडलं. युद्ध समाप्त होईपर्यंत त्यांनी लढायला पाहिजे होतं. तर कर्तव्य पालन जेव्हा आपल्या प्रेमामुळे जेव्हा थांबतं तेव्हा मग कुठेतरी आपण दुर्बळ होतो. ऍक्च्युली आपले जे काही प्रेमाचे संबंध आहेत, आपले जे काही संबंध आहेत ते आपल्याला आपल्या कर्तव्य पालनामध्ये मदत करायला पाहिजे. पण जेव्हा आपले प्रेमाचे संबंध आपल्याला कर्तव्य पालनामध्ये अडथळा निर्माण करतात तेव्हा आपल्याला समजायला पाहिजे की हे चुकीचे प्रेमाचे संबंध आहेत. सी, अवर लव्ह फॉर एनीबडी शुड नेव्हर मेक अस वीक. Actually, our love for somebody should always make us strong. Then it is real love. If love for somebody is making us weak and is stopping us from doing what is right, then that love is not a proper love. That love is a weakness. पण जेव्हा आपल्याला योग्य व्यक्तीप्रती प्रेम असतं आणि त्या प्रेमाच्या आधारावर आपण उंच 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 अधिक अधिक उंच वाढत जातोय, याचा अर्थ ते जे प्रेम आहे ना ते खरं प्रेम आहे. दॅट इज नॉट लिमिटिंग अवर केपेबिलिटी, बट दिस जेन्युइन लव्ह इज ऍक्च्युअली इन्क्रीजिंग अवर केपेबिलिटी. म्हणून आपल्याला असं या जगामध्ये म्हणतात की हा व्यक्ती या व्यक्तीच्या प्रेमात पडला. ऍक्च्युअली आपल्याला प्रेमात पडायचं नाहीये, आपल्याला प्रेमामध्ये उंच शिखर गाठायचंय, उंच तत्वांचं शिखर गाठायचंय, उंच जबाबदाऱ्यांचं शिखर गाठायचंय. आणि हे सगळं कधी शक्य होईल? खऱ्या प्रेमाच्या आधारावर. म्हणून जेव्हा आपल्याला परमेश्वराप्रती, आपल्या शिक्षकांप्रती, आपल्या आई वडिलांप्रती किंवा आपल्या भावंडांप्रती खरं प्रेम असेल, त्याच्यामध्ये त्या प्रेमाच्या आधारावर आपलं चरित्र हे अधिक उंच होतं ना की ते खालावतं. This is my reply to your question. So I feel Arjuna is much better than Dronacharya because Arjun's fight kept on happening even though he was facing a strong adversity in his life.